I call this April the 18th regular session of the Oconee County Board of Education to order. First order of business is to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Move approval.
Mr. Burgess,
Second.
second. Mr. Ransom, all in favor? Passes 5-0. Next, we need a motion to approve the minutes from our March 14th regular session and the April 11th work session.
So moved.
Mr. Bagley,
Second.
second. Ms. Parrish, all in favor? Passes 5-0. Next, we have recognitions.
Thank you very much. At this time, Mr. Superintendent and board members, if you'll come forward for the April 2022 recognitions. And as you come forward, I will note that the art display this month is provided by students of Oconee County Primary School, and their instructor is Katie Brymanson. And that beautiful artwork is right out here in the hallway. And then in April, we are very pleased to present employees with annual service pins. And we have 4 employees tonight that we are going to recognize with 25-year service pins. Quite a commitment to our school system and our students. So honorees, please come up, accept your pin, and then please stay up here because we'll take a group picture at the end. So first up, Andrea Fairbanks from Oconee County Middle School.
Former student, yes. What does that say?
And then next we have Kathy Ashley from Oconee County High School. Next, Kevin Daniel from High Shoals Elementary School. And I don't believe our final honoree, Kim McClellan from North Oconee, was able to join us tonight. But again, congratulations and thank you for your service. We want y'all in the middle, our guest of honor, absolutely.
Come on, pick between you.
Perfect, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank y'all. And that concludes this evening's recognition.
Next, we have points of pride, and we'd like to welcome Oconee Primary School.
Hi, good evening. My name is Catherine Brown, and I'm the principal at Oconee County Primary School, which we like to say is the happiest place on earth. We shared with you a little bit about that last year, and so today we're going to share a few other things that are special about our school. The first slide talks a little bit about the foundation that we look to build for our students. So as a primary school, we have the privilege of working with our students in those foundational years, those years from kindergarten through 2nd grade. And so if you look at our logo, you'll notice that we have 3 arrows. And what we like to say is we like to say that each of those arrows stands for something, and that helps us to build that strong foundation. So our first arrow is the core academics. So with that, we want to make sure that our students have a solid, solid building blocks in reading, math, writing, where they've got lots of hands-on learning experience. Lots of relevant, meaningful learning experiences. Our next arrow is social and emotional needs. So we want to make sure that we're teaching the whole child. We really work to build a strong classroom community within our rooms, help our students to be able to collaborate with one another, to communicate with one another, and then also 21st century skills. So that is creativity, critical thinking. What are these skills that they need beyond the classroom walls? And with that strong foundation, one of the practices that we've been implementing recently is project-based learning. So over the past couple of years, we've worked to implement project-based learning, which is a teaching method you guys can see there where students learn by actively engaging in real-world and personally meaningful projects So what that looks like is interdisciplinary learning experiences tied to something that's meaningful in the real world, really organic, kind of led as students ask questions and work through problems. And so we want to share a little bit about that with you guys tonight. The process for us in implementing project-based learning, we began over the past couple of years, we've done lots of kind of foundational supports, but this summer, we had about 15 teachers come together during their summer, I might add, for a 2-day professional development led by Mike Stanton, who's one of our teachers that you guys will hear from in just a moment. He's one of our teacher leaders who is our STEM activity teacher and also teaches a 2nd grade block of math and science for us. Erin Bowen is one of our instructional technology specialists in the district, and she works with our school. And then also Carrie Sigmund. I wanted to mention her too. She was an important part of us implementing project-based learning, and she passed away this winter from cancer, but she was very impactful with our school and also throughout the district in these innovative practices. So as we worked through the professional development, we identified areas that teachers could connect multiple standards, what were some kind of big topics where they could tie in different subject areas. They developed sort of a framework for these projects and then shared them out with their teams. And in the first half of the year, we implemented the project-based learning. The projects were about 2 to 6 weeks long. It just kind of depended on the grade level. And so Mr. Stanton is going to share a little bit with you all about 2nd grade's project and what that looked like.
So with our project-based learning in our STEM and our novel engineering, we always use something called the Little Chief Explorer process, where we ask questions, explore solutions, create products, and then share with the community. For this particular project, it started really last year with the kids asking why there was a path or trail around the school that led to the local soccer field. And then that led into more questions. They would ask, what are the features of a nature trail? Could we have this path become a nature trail? And we eventually visited the Georgia Botanical Gardens at 2nd grade. So all the 2nd graders went. We got to experience a pristine nature trail, and the students asked more questions about how we could include wildlife and invite wildlife into our nature trail that we were going to build at OCS. So then next, the students started to explore solutions. They built archways. One class really got into archways. They built archways with their body. They made blueprints. They got together with 2 local craftsmen, gave their blueprints to those local craftsmen, and they built the archway along with them. They also wanted, like I said, to bring in more wildlife, so they built birdhouses and bat houses. So then they created really a whole lot more projects with creating benches for people to rest on while they're on the nature trail. They measured the entire distance by hand, 3/10 of a mile, and they created signs every 1/10 of a mile. They also created directional signs. The students created brochures, informational brochures. So if you enter the nature trail, there's brochures about insects that are native to Georgia Piedmont, birds, the trees, and then also mammals. One class made a scavenger hunt. So that scavenger hunt, as you go in, it's placed right there. You can take a copy and then find 25 different things along the trail. And all of this was done by our little chiefs. So the last thing we did on January 31st is we went public and shared it with the community. So on this day, it was a big day for all of us. All of the 2nd graders got to walk the trail together, experience all the things that they brought together as one group and one class of 2nd graders, and walk the trail together. And then the big part about this day is we always like to tell our little chiefs, even though they're little, they can do big things. And this really showed that they can do big things and build something for the entire community.
And that is why our school is the happiest school on earth. Who wouldn't want to come to school and build a Little Chief nature trail? And I think one thing that we have recognized is on weekends when we happen to drive by or stop by, our families are enjoying it too. Our students are excited to share it with their parents and their younger siblings. They're out there on the trails. They're showing the work that they've done with their family, which is so important. And then lastly, I invite all of you to visit us. May 13th, we'll have our Little Chief Marketplace, where again, our 2nd graders will develop and create products that then they're going to sell and showcase off to their peers and to other people within our building. We would love to have you come and visit because again, we make learning authentic and real, and that's what it's all about. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Burgess.
Not a question, just a comment. Kudos to all of you for this. You know, to me, I think a lot of times we forget how important those early grades are, first and second. All the research tells you that, but you forget about it because we think about middle school and high school. So kudos to what you're doing, because clearly what you're doing is sort of pushing the envelope and creating a better foundation for those children as they move on up into upper grades. So good for you.
Thank you. It's an amazing project. I love it. Thank you. They are doing incredible work. Thank you for letting us have the opportunity to share.
Thank you.
Brought some flashlights, board members, so when the meeting's over, we can all go experience the trail. There you go.
Next, we have communications to the board. First, we have business services, Ms. Liz Harlow.
Good evening, board members. Business Services has 7 items of information for tonight's board meeting. The first item of information is the March cash balance report. The second item of information is a list of all vendor payments in March. The third item of information is the budget report for March, and revenues and expenditures continue to be where we would expect during this time of year. The fourth item of information is the ELOS collections report. The rolling average is 18% over the previous year, and this month's collections are 16% over the previous period last year. The next item of information is the board report for ELOS 5, and as every month, the revenues and expenses have been updated as of March 31st. The next item of information is the board report for ELOS 6. Revenues and expenses have been updated as of March 31st. And the last item of information is the federal funds report for March. The report has been updated as of March 31st of this fiscal year. And that concludes my report unless there are any questions.
Any questions? Mr. Burgess?
Liz, on the budget report for this month, I guess, can I assume that we're reasonably close to the final revenue collections on local property taxes that we're going to probably get?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're a little short on our projection for ad valorem taxes. Is that net of the roughly $1 million we pay the county to collect the taxes for us to begin with?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's a net figure.
Yes.
So if I'm seeing this correctly, then sort of the way the fiscal year budget's going to finish, we're going to be a little short on ad valorem, but the board is going to make that up on the other 2 taxes, the title tax and the other taxes that are collected as part of that overall ad valorem collection number.
Yes.
Okay, so they'll net each other out to the positive, even though one of them's a little negative and a couple of them positive.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. One other thing, let me ask you just to put this on your particular file to adjust, not necessarily right now, but in the next few months or so as we finish out this ELOS year and start the new ELOS next January. On that ELOS 6 sheet that you've already started putting together, I appreciate you doing that. It's kind of ahead of the game on that. So can you take where we have the debt service payments on the bottom and just array those by calendar year so that we can so we'll start off in January seeing what those debt service payments are each calendar year, kind of like what you've done on the other one. Just lay them out so that we keep them in front of us for year to year. So that, it's a big number, 46 million, but I kind of like to know what is it in year by year by year.
I can do that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz.
Next, we have public communication. Do we have anyone sign up?
We have 3 tonight.
Okay.
Do you want to read them?
Yes. Before we call them up, let me share this. The board allows 3 minutes for those who sign up at the meeting. You must be a current resident of Oconee County to address the board. Please state your name, address, and topic. The board requests that you refrain from making any disparaging remarks about school system personnel. Generally, there will be no response to comments or questions posed by citizens at the meeting. All comments and questions will be received and taken under advisement by the board. However, any member of the board shall be free to respond and make public comments if he or she elects to do so.
And the first speaker is Mr. Mark Campbell on behalf of the Oconee County Library.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank y'all for taking the time to hear me out. My name is Mark Campbell. I am here on behalf of the Oconee County Library System. First off, I just want to say that I'm proud to live in Oconee County. I'm grateful that I'm able to work in Oconee County, and especially I'm grateful that I have 2 children in the Oconee County school system. I can't imagine a better place to be. And part of what makes Oconee County great is the Oconee County schools. And the work that you do as a board makes that possible. So I appreciate the work that y'all have done. You may remember last year we talked a little bit about the partnership between the library system in Oconee County and the school system as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have about that. I will mention to you that you have 2 representatives on the Oconee County Library Board, and that's Mike Eddy, who happens to be from the Malcolm Bridge Middle School, and Matt Stevens, who is from the Oconee Middle School. So during our most recent meeting, they were instrumental in a discussion about what it means to be a young adult. So young adult literature and young adult programming, those 2 representatives from the 2 middle schools, that was their milieu, right? That was right in amongst that. So they were able to help our board and inform our board as we make decisions moving forward. So I will say that we will ask for your continued support of the library system in Oconee County. We couldn't do what we do from a programming standpoint, especially with the summer time coming up, which is a busy time for the library system, without the support of the Board of Education, without the support of the Oconee County school system. So again, just thank you for all that you do to support our community, to strengthen our community. As you know, we are growing. I don't need to tell y'all that. Y'all know that better than anybody else. So as our community continues to grow, because people want to live here, people want to be in Oconee County, that increases the demand both on the school system but also on the library system. So we see ourselves as partners in that education to strengthen the community, and also as partners to be able to serve the community, to make it the best community that it can be. Again, I'm here along with Branch Managing Librarian Mr. James Mitchell, and we can answer any questions that you might have. I know that James will be much better suited to answer any questions about operations or procedure, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have about the library as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Yes, ma'am. I think it's Susanna Heimer.
Hi,
Aye.
my name is Susanna Heimel. I'm a parent and I also live in the county. And I just had some questions. I was actually going to make a presentation about about the performance standards of our accrediting agency and what they've implemented for July 1st, 2022. But then I guess I realized that the governor has passed a law stating that we cannot teach CRT in our school system. So I guess my next, instead of covering everything I was going to cover before, is has the county selected a new accreditation agency to accredit our schools? And if so, how are we going to make sure that CRT, equity, inclusion does not end up in our classrooms? Because even though right now a lot of other systems are saying it's not happening in their schools, as well as they're saying that here, how are we going to make sure that it's not going to be embedded in the curriculum, even though it's not supposed to be? So I guess I was wondering if a new accreditation board has been selected, and I think we have to have one by July 1, if I'm correct, and if not, if we haven't selected one already, I'm assuming you want to select one, and is there any community involvement in that? So I don't know.
I don't have that answer at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so how would we follow up on that, I guess?
We'd be happy to have staff members follow up with you
Okay,
with
perfect,
your
I'd love
request.
that. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jason, haven't Claire made presentations on that in the past about accreditation, how that whole process works?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Next.
Yes, ma'am. The last one is David Lawrence.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Team Oconee. Good to see you, so. Dr. Branch, how are you?
I'm good.
Great. I would love to answer the question the young lady before me answered. I asked about teaching some of the hard history that you do without ever knew what critical race theory was. Taught in this county for decades, almost 3 decades, and don't have a clue how you teach history without bringing up some hard issues, but you do it in a proper way. David Lawrence, I live in High Shoals. I taught there my last 12 years, 29-year veteran, almost made 30 years. Wish I would have gotten a pin for 30, but I had to bow out after the pandemic, the pandemic couple of years. I want to thank everybody on the board for what you do. I want to thank Dr. Argo for being more open, not more open, but for being open with me.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I apologize. But and Mr. LaDuff for getting back to me on things. Rick Whitmire, Liz Harlow giving me some information that I needed, because what I'm really interested in doing is not increasing teacher pay, but having teacher step increases continue from really year 1 throughout the 30 or 29 years. And I've actually crunched quite a few numbers. I thought I knew spreadsheets pretty well, but apparently I don't. But I do have some preliminary numbers. I just took someone with a T4, and I, after talking with Ms. Argo, it's important for those teachers to get a little boost, I think, especially at the beginning of their tenure, those first few years, because it's tough. I mean, it took me a while to decide that's for sure what I wanted to do, but I've come up with a plan, did a little spreadsheet and a little chart to go with it, and I'll distribute it to you. Just an idea of my last 9 years I did not get a pay raise. Like, we got the not a step increase pay raise. We got it from the governor. We got it from what you guys did locally, but it's really not that difficult a task to crunch some numbers on the spreadsheet. And I've offered my assistance in doing that, and I would just love to get some people that are good with math, and I know other systems. And this is not raising revenue. This is shifting revenue. This is paying first, second, third year teachers perhaps a little bit less, but every year for 29 years, teachers getting a pay raise, because I feel that they're worth it. I feel like with the current times and next year coming up, it's going to get even harder. Teachers are going to be needing to do more than just teach in the classroom. So I appreciate your time, and I'll leave these with Anissa, or maybe I'll just give one to everybody if I could do that. I don't know the protocol.
I'll
Okay,
take it. Thank you, sir.
I only have about 4 or 5, but
Okay.
people that are good with numbers, Ms. Zoe. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Action items, Dr. Branch?
Yes, ma'am. We recommend the technology surplus list be approved as presented.
We need a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Burgess?
Second.
Second, Ms. Parrish, all in favor? Passes 5-0.
If acceptable, we can take B and C together.
Yes.
Okay, I would recommend audio enhancement systems for a total cost at Oconee Primary of $188,232.05 to be paid with general fund and ELOS dollars. Also at Oconee Elementary, these are the microphones for the classes as well as the intercom systems for $209,194.27. So recommend approval of both items B and C as presented.
Motion approved.
Mr. Ransom?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bagley, all in favor? Passes 5-0.
Once again, if it pleases the board, we can take all field trips together, or we can talk about them individually if you'd like.
Together's fine, we
Okay.
mentioned them last week.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. LaDuff presented those, so we recommend items D, E, and F, and G, all out-of-state field trips, to be approved as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Bagley?
Second.
Second, Ms. Parrish, all in favor? Passes 5-0. We do have a need to move into executive session and need a motion to do so.
I make a motion that the board will adjourn to executive session to discuss and deliberate upon personnel matters as described on the affidavit to be attached to the minutes.
Second.
Second, Mr. Ransom, all in favor? Passes 5-0.